Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you guys had fun in the lesson with array lists, and I hope you guys learned a lot. We're going to be switching gears a little bit to a different topic. It's not about coding, but it is related to coding. So, and it will be very helpful in the future when you work on big coding projects like the one that we will do for the final project. So let me first share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? I'm assuming yes. So I'll begin.
We can see your screen.
Okay. Today we're going to be learning about Git, which is a version control system, and we'll learn more about what a version control system is. So we'll learn about what is version control, first of all, what is Git and how do we install Git. We're going to create our own GitHub account, inshallah. We'll learn more about what that is, and we'll also learn about what is a repository. So just remember, we're going to learn about these four terms: version control, Git, GitHub, and repository. So what is version control? Version control is a system that is able to track the changes to your code over time. So it's able to see what code you added over the past day, what code you removed, what code you changed. So you're able to see what changes you made, who made those changes if there are multiple people working on the same code, when you made those changes, so what time, what day, and why did you make those changes. So we'll learn about how we can document all of this information, but version control allows you to know all of these things. And we're going to learn about Git, and Git is a version control system that we're going to use, and we're going to install it. On the right side, it's actually a meme, so don't take it very seriously. But what this is saying is just kind of poking fun at creating different files. So if you've ever, I guess, written an essay for class, and you write your first draft, and then you save it, and then you make a copy of your essay, and you write a second draft, and then you write a third draft, and that gets, I guess, very confusing if you have a lot of essays. And if you think about code, having multiple versions of your code can also get confusing. So we recommend you actually don't do this at home. So actually Git is the version control system that we'll use. Subversion is another version control system, but we're not going to talk about it. So why is version control useful? Version control actually makes it easier for people from, different, from their homes to work together on large coding projects. So even if you're at home, or if you're together in the same workplace or at school, you can work together on the same project. And version control makes it very easy for you to do that. And if something in your code goes wrong, we always make mistakes. Something always goes wrong. So you can always change your version back to the previous working version. So if you make a mistake, you can always revert your changes back to when your code was working. So that's why version control is very useful. And also, as we saw in the previous slide, you don't have to store separate versions of your code manually. Git will do that efficiently for you. So if you ever want to see what you did before and why you did it, you can use Git or GitHub to do that. And that's also just good documentation practice. Documentation is a way for you to mark progress in your code. So to the right, you see this. Let's see if I can use the pointer. This is just an image of people working together from their homes, and Git makes it very easy for you to do that. The other picture here is a screenshot actually from GitHub. We'll learn about more like what that is, but as you can see, there are these commits. We'll learn about like what a commit is, but you see these comments here, right? So readme, fix minor style issues, clean up comments, update project version. So having a version control system allows you to see like what changes you made and why you made those changes to your code. And it's very useful when you are working on a large coding project. So if you're working on like one problem, you might not need it. But if you're working on a big project, and especially if you're working with people, version control becomes very useful. So what is Git? Git is a version control system that we're going to use today, and it's actually very common, used by more than 70% of programmers around the world. And it allows us to see all the changes that we made since we created a project. So like from the very beginning, you're able to see like when you added code, why you added code, and all of that information. You can use version control for any programming language. So for Java, but not just Java, Python, C++, these are other programming languages, or like any other programming languages that like Ruby, and there are many others. So we're going to be installing Git today, and like to the right, you see that's actually the icon for Git. Does everything make sense so far? Thumbs up. Or if you don't understand, you can ask a question. Let's see, let me see if there's anything in the chat. Okay. Yes, this meme is very funny, but please don't take it seriously. Okay, so we're gonna go into installing Git. So this is more of the interactive part of the slides. So I want everyone to follow me while we are like going through the slides. So if you can, I'm gonna actually post the link or if someone can post a link to these slides in the chat, that would be great. Okay, so I want everyone to go to this website, gitforwindows.org. And when you click on that link, which is in the chat, then you will see the screen. It says Git for Windows, the very large icon. And there is a download button. If you can click on that and let me know if you have, if you're on the website and you click the download link, let me know in the chat like that you have finished that step, or you can use a thumbs up. I want everyone to do this with me. So if you have your, if you're on your computer, then I want you to go to this website and click the download button. So yeah, just to make sure, we'll go to the next slide. You might see this page. I don't know if it showed up for me. And I'll say Git for Windows. What you need to do is you need to, once you have arrived at this page, you should scroll down. And there is this file. It says Git 2.30.1 64bit.exe. So this is what you should click on. And once you click on this, this link, then it should begin downloading. Just make sure, Muhammad, that you have downloaded the correct version. So again, just make sure you go to this link, gitforwindows.org. Please let me know if you have arrived at this page in the chat, if you are there, and then go click the download button. And then after that, you should arrive at this page. And it should be probably in light mode for you. And then after you arrive at this page, you should scroll down and you should see this link right here. And it should begin downloading. And when it has finished downloading, please let me know.
Can you copy the version name in the chat, please?
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
So when it has finished downloading, please let me know. Using a thumbs up or in the chat, you can say I'm finished. Okay, I think we are waiting on one more student to finish. So I'll give it another minute. Okay, great. So we've all finished downloading this Git file. The next step is to click on it. So you should click on the file that you just downloaded. You should see like a window that's similar to this one, asking if you like want to run this file. It's safe, so you can click run. And just don't worry about the Git version here. The screenshot is outdated. But if you followed the instructions before, you should have downloaded the right version. So just click run. And after you click run, then you should see the Git setup. So you should see this license page. Just click next. You don't have to do anything. And then it will ask you like, where should we install Git on your laptop? Just keep it at the default. It may look like this, program files /git. It may look a little different, but just keep it as it is. So like whatever it is, just keep it like that. And then if you are sure everything is fine, then click next. And then it will ask you like which components should be installed. Just make sure that these ones are checked. And then once you make sure that these are checked, it should be the default. It should be already like this, but if not, then make sure you check Windows Explorer integration, Git LFS, associate.git configuration files, associate.sh files. Make sure these are selected. And once you have done that, then click next. And then it will ask you where should the setup place the program shortcuts. Just make sure that it says Git here, and it should already be like that. If not, then you should type Git. Don't select anything else and just click next. And then it will ask you to choose the default editor. This you can just click next. You don't have to change anything. And then it will ask you about adjusting the name of the initial branch in new repositories. It should be at let git decide. So this should be selected. I want to get a thumbs up from everyone if they are at this step. Okay, got a couple of thumbs up. So once that is selected, then you can click next. And then it will ask you to adjust your path environment. So we are using Git from the command line and also from third-party software. So it should be the middle one. Make sure that this is selected for adjusting your path environment. Once that's done, then you can click next. And then it will ask you about choosing which HTTPS transport backend. You should use the Open SSL library. This is not really important, but just keep it at this, the first one. And then once you have selected the first one, then click next. Then it will ask you to configure the line ending conversions. Make sure the first one is selected. So check out Windows style, commit Unix style endings. This first one should be selected. Once that is selected, we can go ahead to the next step. There are quite a few steps. It'll ask you about configuring the terminal emulator. Make sure it's at use min tty. So this one, the first one, make sure that one is selected. Once that is selected, you can click next. And then it will ask you to choose the default behavior of git pull. And we're going to learn later on what git pull is. It's when you want to update changes from the online code. We'll talk more about that, but make sure that this is at default. So the first one. A lot of these should already be selected, but I just want to make sure that if it's not the case, that you select the right ones and then go to the next step. So once you click next, then you should choose a credential helper and make sure the first one, Git Credential Manager Core, is selected. And once that's done, then you can click next. We're almost done here. Configuring extra options. Which features would you like to enable? Make sure enable file system caching. Only this one is selected. So the check mark, make sure that's there. And then once you have that, you can go to the next step. So click this next button. Then it will ask about experimental options. You shouldn't select this because it has bugs. So bugs meaning there are some possible errors in the code. So please don't select this one. And then if you are sure that this isn't selected, then we can go ahead and install. So you should click the install button and then it should begin installing. Let me know when it has finished installing for you, and then we can go ahead to the next step. So I'll wait for 5 minutes for this to finish. So yeah. Okay, I think it seems like everyone is done. So I'm just going to move on to the next step then. So you should see this page. It should say that it completed the Git setup wizard. What I think you don't need to select view release notes. If you want to, you can, but I would uncheck this and then click finish. And then to see if we actually installed Git, a way to check that is to search for these two words, Git bash, in the Windows search box. So you see this Windows icon, like you should click on that, and then in the Windows search box, search for Git bash. And if you see it, then you should try to click it, and then if you go to the next slide, we should see that we have Git bash. So please let me know if this pops up for you, something very similar. Okay, so if you guys have gotten this far, congrats, we just got Git, and now we're going to move on to creating a GitHub account. So what you can do, you can actually close that tab. So the X button here, we don't need to use it right now. We just wanted to make sure that we installed Git. So now that we made sure that we installed Git, we can just close this. and then move on to the next part because we're going to create a GitHub account. Okay, so now we're going to create a GitHub account, and you know, it has Git in the name, so it has to do something with Git, right? So GitHub is an online website where you can post your code, your Java code, and you can share it with other people. You can share it with the world. So it supports version control using Git. So what that means is you can use Git version control with GitHub. And we're going to learn in the next class about how we can do that. It allows you to work with other programmers on as many projects as you want. So you can work with your classmates, right? And you can also work with other people in the future on various projects. And GitHub makes it very easy for you to do that. It's actually very widely used by over 56 million people in the world. And it's also free, which is really great for our purposes. But like some of it is paid, but we don't need to use that part. Most of GitHub is free. So we are good there. So we're going to create a GitHub account. So how we do that is we're going to go to this link. Let's see if I can. So please go to this link that I just typed in the chat. And you shouldn't already have a GitHub account. So you should arrive at this page or something that looks very similar to this. And then you'll see the sign in and the sign up buttons. You should click on the sign up button. Is everyone else okay? Can you give me a thumbs up or a yes if you are on this page? So we're switching gears now a little bit. We finished installing Git, and now we are creating an account on GitHub. Okay, so we're going to create a GitHub account, very similar to like creating a Google account. You have to enter a username, an email address, and also a password. So go ahead and enter that in. Your email address, I think it is best to use your Google or your Gmail for that. And for your password, it should be at least 15 characters or at least 8 characters with a number and a lowercase letter. So it will tell you if you meet the requirements for the password. And then you should store the password someplace safe so you can always log into your account and you don't forget your password. So I'll give everyone like 2 minutes to enter that. Oh, and please don't use your username or enter your username as random user maker. That was just an example. Please enter the username that you would like. So it can be like your first name dot last name, like for example, Ramaisa.Abdulhay, right? That is a common username that people do, like they have their first name dot last name, or you can just use anything else that you like. Okay, I'm gonna assume that we have decided on a username and we have entered our email and password. So you can check this box if you want, like email preferences, send me occasional product updates, announcements, and offers. It doesn't hurt, but if you get annoyed by emails like these, then you don't have to select it. And then once you do that, you should verify your account. So there will probably be some CAPTCHA of some sort. So please follow the instructions for that. And once you do that, then you should have verified your account and you can click create account. So once you have verified your account, you need to actually verify that the email that you gave was correct when you signed up. So what will happen is it should send you an email asking you to verify it. And once you do that, then you should be able to post code But if you don't, then you won't be able to until you verify your email. And please ask a mentor for help if you're having trouble with this part. Okay, so if you still haven't verified your email, that's okay. We can always, talk with you one-on-one to make sure that you have your email verified. So we'll go on to the next step. So now you created a GitHub account and we installed Git. So we're going to be ready for our next lesson when we're going to create our own repository. But before we do any of that, what is a repository? So a repository is a folder that you create on GitHub, so the website where you can post code. So it's a folder that you create on GitHub to organize your code for one project. So this folder, it can have other folders inside of it. It can have files of code or images or videos, right? Anything that you need in the project. And you can make it public or you can make it private, just like you can do that with classes. So what that means is your code can be visible to everyone, who comes to your account. So that is public. So anyone can see it. Private means that no one can see it except you. And a repository actually allows you to work with other people on a single project. So you can have as many people as you need working on a single repository. And as you can see to the right, this is an example of a private repository that I made for school. And so there are many different tabs like code and issues and all of that. We'll learn more about this. If you have any questions outside of class, you can ask me about that. But the main part that I want us to look at is the code. So you can see all these different files, right? We have our .idea folder, which is from IntelliJ. And then these are all the different Java files that I had to use for this project. So for one project. So like I mentioned before, GitHub is really good for managing your work for a large project. So if you have a large project with a lot of Java files, then GitHub is very useful. So that's it for today. So take a minute to think about what these mean, and then we'll go to the next slide. Yep, we are almost done, just 2 more slides. So I'll move on to the next one then. And these are the terms that we learned today. So version control is just an efficient system. So efficient means it is very fast and it's very useful, and I guess, yeah. So an efficient system that tracks changes to your code over time. So you're able to see when you made changes to your code, who made the changes, why did you make the changes, right? All of that you're able to see with version control. Git is a commonly used version control system that we will use for this class. GitHub is a website where you can post your code and you can share it with others. So it uses Git version control. And lastly, repository is a folder that you make on GitHub to store your code for a specific project. So for one project. And you can make as many repositories as you want. Again, they can be public or private. So these are all of the terms. So we learned what is version control, we installed Git, we made our own GitHub account, and we also learned what is a repository. So this is a precursor or a little heads up for the next lesson. But if you want to learn more about Git version control, these are the links that I suggest you look at. So Git it Electron especially, I highly recommend it for optional homework. You can start on it if you have time for this week. And also, like, you can do it, you can continue and finish it next week. But basically what this is, it's a, I don't know if you still see the screen. I think you see it. So this is a website on GitHub, and there is like an application. It walks you through what is Git, what is GitHub, and how to use it. But we'll learn more about this next week, so don't worry about it. And that's it. No homework for this lesson. Do we have any questions?